Welcome guys! Did you like those loot explosions? If you want to learn how to drop that much life force, watch this video till the end, because today I'm going to reveal my min-maxed harvest farming strategy, which can make you very consistent profit with very little investment. As always, all the information in this video can be found inside my Google Spreadsheet, the Magic Find Academy strategy guide. Link in the description below. Although it might seem a pretty simple mechanic, there are some little known facts about harvest that you should be aware of. The life force you get depends on two factors: monster pack size and quantity of items found off the map. So let's focus on this. Whenever you interact with harvest crops, monsters are spawned from the seeds. Now T1 monsters drop nothing, T2 monsters drop very little life force, T3 monsters are instead your main money makers, and T4 are harvest bosses, unique monsters that drop a high amount of life force but are very rare. Now a single T3 seed normally spawns one rare monsters, which drops a single stack of life force. However, by increasing monster pack size you can spawn more than just one rare monster. At 90% pack size, for example, you almost always spawn two rares, sometimes 3. At the same time, the stack number for life force is increased by the item quantity of the map you're running. For example, here is the stack size of life force that you can get from a normal map with 0 quantity, and this stack size in a 300% quantity map. Be careful though, we are talking about item quantity of the map, of the area you're running, not magic find. Item quantity from your gear has no effect at all on life force drops. I know, sorry guys. Now that you mastered the basics, I can finally talk about the farming strategy, the very reason you clicked this video. Let's start with the Atlas passive tree, speaking about Bumper Crop. The Sacred Grove in your maps has 50% chance to contain an additional harvest, which is extremely powerful. Bountiful Harvest is basically 10% extra profit, you get 10% chance to spawn an additional monster from your plants, then you have 10% chance to duplicate your life force, and then with Heart of the Grove we increase the chance to get unique bosses, and 10% chance for then chosen crop to not wield. Now speaking about these three notables, these reduce the chance for plants of a certain color from appearing in your harvests. Now, I selected purple plants and blue plants because the yellow ones are the most expensive right now, even if by a little margin. And then we got the crop rotation Keystone that was introduced in 3.22. Harvest crops in your maps contain only tier 1 plants. Harvesting crops in your maps has a chance to upgrade the tier of plants of different colors. We will explain how crop rotation works in practice and how to optimize profit with a farming strategy that involves crop rotation in the last part of the video. For now, let's stick to the Atlas passive tree. Now, since we said that item quantity increases the stack size of life force, we want to go for the blue influence, the Eater of World influence, which has this keystone here, Eldritch Gates. Eldritch altars influenced by the Eater of Worlds have 50% increased effect of upsides. So what it means is that one of the possible rewards for Eater of a World is item quantity and item rarity that is applied to your map. Now, if you upgrade this by 50%, you get a lot more quantity and rarity compared to the Searing Exarch. So that's why I think that Eater of World is the best choice for this specific farming strategy. And you also want to take the Shadow of Hunger, which increases the chance to find the altars. For the same reasons, we want to allocate map modifier effect. We have a lot of these small passives here. They indirectly affect item quantity of the map. Then we take all of the item quantity small passives for sure, and item quantity and rarity. Now that we added a lot of item quantity to our map, we also want to affect monster pack size. And this keystone is just perfect for the job. My personal choice is Gilded Scarabs because they grant up to 40% increased pack size, and since monster pack size is indeed affected by diminishing returns, I don't really feel like we should go for Winged Scarabs. They are just too expensive and not worth it. That said, if you feel like Gilded is a bit too much for you, just go for polished or rusted scarabs. All the passives we spoke about right now are the bare bone of the strategy, but in reality we have a lot more passive skills that we can invest. And since harvest strategy is so fast, we open a lot of maps, I thought that a great inclusion could be essences. We allocate all of the Atlas passives related to that, and we also get some extra content notables for all of those slow mechanics that we don't want to play anyway. In that way, we get increased chance to get more essences. We still have some passives to allocate, so we improve our map sustain with shaping the skies, shaping the mountains, and shaping the world. In order to sustain the exact same map, we want to use singular focus. The last tech option I want to mention is all hands combined with mining partnership and packed with energy. By having Nico in your maps, you will have far greater movement speed, and this will eventually improve your profit per hour. Next up we have Sextants, and this is the most important. There are two main aspects to it. It duplicates the life force that you get, and it also forces a certain color of plants to appear inside each of your harvest for at least one crop. That's great. You should really make your choice based on economy or your personal preference. Then you have the Sacred Groove. Now, this is a bit controversial because the Sacred Groove Sextant is in theory no longer necessary, since we can use the 7th gate Keystone to get access to the Harvest Craft on the map device, but there is an opportunity cost to be paid, in that the map crafting options include Essence. So if you play Sacred Groove as a Sextant, you can use the Essence modifier on the map device, which is very profitable. So these were the first two Sextants. Going next, we have two possible combinations of options. The first one is faster and probably less profitable overall because it involves a very expensive Sextant, which is maps found in your maps are corrupted with 8 modifiers. Since you create maps like these that you can pick up from the ground, you don't lose time crafting the maps. It's very good quality of life, but they are not chiseled, so you need to pair the first Sextant with your maps have 20% quality to make it work. And we know that quality is quantity, so this is very important for harvest overall. So an alternative to this setup is slower, but certainly more profitable, and it involves crafting your own maps. You have to roll a map with 5 or better 6 modifiers, and then you val it. So there are 4 possible val outcomes, all coming with the same probability. Nothing happens, which is fine since we have a 5-6 modifier map. The map can become 8 modded like before. The map can become trash with only 4 or 5 modifiers. And finally, the best outcome, the map can become unidentified. And that's great because there is this Sextant in the game which provides increased pack size in unidentified maps specifically. Now you have to roll over the maps, you keep the unidentified ones aside and you run them with this Sextant. As 4th slot, you can get increased magic pack size, which increases the natural amount of magic monsters in the map, which means that you are gonna get more Ether of World altars. Although, since there are many maps that are not unidentified, you are still going to have another slot for a Sextant, which could be filled with the Gilded Scarab Sextant. Now, as you know, we must use 4 Gilded Scarabs to apply the powerful bonus from Growing Ore's Keystone, and sustaining Gilded Scarab with this Sextant could be a good idea. Of course, you have to also allocate the Scenes passive notable on the Atlas passive tree in order to do this efficiently. Now, be careful though, because you have always to check if the Sextant price makes sense compared to the average cost of Gilded Scarabs on market. So this was the basic mapping strategy. My favorite map layout is Crimson Temple, and that's for a number of reasons. First of all, it is densely packed with monsters, and that's good for altar spawning. Not only that, but the boss is very easy to reach because it is always on the top of the map, and once you killed it, you remove all of the boss options from the altars, and you just get quantity. That is what you really want for harvest. On top, Crimson Temple can also drop the Apothecary and the 7 Years Bad Luck, which are all top tier divination cards. And now it is finally time to talk about the recent harvest strategy variation that involves the new Keystone crop rotation. Crop rotation is a very exciting mechanic that radically changes how harvest works. All the seeds in the Sacred Grove are tier 1, not tier 2, not tier 3. You have to do some gardening, some serious gardening to grow those seeds, and that's really fitting in the overall thematic of harvest, in my opinion. So whenever you harvest seeds of a certain color, what happens is that other seeds of different colors will have a chance to upgrade to the next tier. So for example, now that we killed monsters inside the purple seeds, we got an upgrade for yellow seeds. So if we now harvest these crops, what happens is that other seeds, other T2 seeds, have a chance to upgrade to tier 3. Now we have 4 T3 seeds, which is something we could never see with a traditional harvest. And as you saw in the trailer of the video, this can get pretty wild. These are 12 T3 seeds inside a single crop. And while fighting 12 harvest monsters may be dangerous, it is certainly a very fun experience, and the loot is just very good. So let's find out together how can we play this mechanic to have the best possible profit. First off, you want many harvest crops with opposite seed colors compared to the life force you want to get. Then your purpose is to activate last a single harvest crop with your desired life force color that grew a lot of T3 seeds. Now it may seem counterintuitive, but it's pretty reasonable when you think about it, because you have all of these other seeds that basically feed a single giant feed at the end of your harvest. So if you want to farm yellow life force, instead of using the yellow sextant, you will use the blue and purple plant sextants. A very common mistake is that many players are allocating Vivid Drought instead of Wild Drought and Primal Drought, because they think we don't want the yellow life force, so we should get Vivid Drought, right? Well, actually, no. You want to still allocate Wild and Primal Drought, and that's because with the Sextant for blue plants or purple plants, for every harvest you already have the necessary opposite seed color crop. Then you want to make sure that in at least one of the harvest of your Sacred Grove there is one extra yellow crop that you can harvest at the end. I think this is very important. Finally, guys, I want to remind you about the Einhar's memory of Sacred Grove. Sometimes people forget about this memory and the price is low enough that you can make a profit out of it. So what's the deal with this Einhar's memory? Well, they always contain the Sacred Grove, but with a twist. The crops are larger in size, they contain higher tier seeds, and they are all mixed together, so from a single crop you get like blue, yellow and purple life force. Now, the special thing about it, though, is that there are only tier 2 seeds, and that tier 2 seeds can evolve into tier 3 seeds with a 10% chance, and tier 3 harvest seeds have 2% chance to be upgraded to tier 4. And these values are scaled with the single steps of the memory, so you get 11% and 2%, then 12 and 3, and finally at the last step of the memory 13 and 3%. And the harvest in area also contains an additional crop for a total of 5 crops. Now, the explicit modifier magnitudes is also increased, so it is very important to roll well your maps. You should have at least 6 modifiers and then use a Val Orb to opt for a good corruption. To be honest, Einhar's memory are not particularly fun. They have a pretty flat gameplay, there is very little decision making going on. On top of that, there are many stacks of life force that are dropping, which are very small, and they require a lot of clicks. We have reached the end of this video, but before you go, guys, I want to share with you some farming results of mine about the single farming strategies that I explained to you today. As usual, this is my Magic Find Academy strategy guide, the big Google spreadsheet that I made to help players in their journey through Wrecklast. Now, let's check the profitability for the farming strategies that I mentioned. So on the first box on the left, we get the profit for the map run with the 8 mod sextant. Now, this strategy was fairly profitable, 2.3 divines per league, nothing special, but since we combine the strategy with Essence, the profit per hour is much higher than that. And it was also very good for standard. Then we got the box for the self-rolled maps without using the sextant, and in that case, as you see, the profit is a bit higher for both standard and league. Now, for crop rotation, there was a bit of an issue because in reality, yes, you get a lot of loot explosions. They are very exciting. It is a very fun mechanic, don't get me wrong, but the problem is that it is very inconsistent by nature. And that means that overall, we didn't get particularly lucky. We only got 3-4 big loot explosions. And the rest of the time, we had many dry streaks. To be honest, other players had more success than me. I think I was a bit unlucky, but overall the profit for league is too low in my opinion, while for standard it is already better. And the point is, crop rotation is an excellent tool to have on the Atlas because there is a specific case scenario in which crop rotation may become better or comparable to traditional farming techniques. And that is the case in which the life force that you want to farm has a very expensive sextant. Now in standard, the yellow plants have a sextant that costs more than 2 divine orbs, while the other sextants are pretty cheap. So what you can do is, instead farming the yellow plants directly with the awakened sextants, you can use crop rotation and use the other 2 sextant for blue and purple plants, which are cheaper. And that's why the difference in profit per hour in standard is not that high after all. So if the market is switching, if let's say a big crafter starts hoarding a yellow life force, then you could find a case scenario for which crop rotation is more competitive. Einhar's memory are a bit more profitable than crop rotation, but not that great for league, only 1.5 divines per hour. For standard, the profit was always nice, 7.2 divines per hour. To be honest, the profitability of Einhar's memory really depends on the cost of the memory itself. In League, it is a bit overpriced right now. There is little profit to be made. In Standard, many people forget about this, so we get more opportunities. So thank you guys. Thank you for staying with me until the end of the video. I had quite a bit of fun farming again a bit of harvest. And if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel, leave a like and a comment in the section below. Thank you and see you in the next video.